Hey, this is David with Cyber City Circuits. This month for our monthly soldering kit, we reached out to a member of the maker community to design this month's box. Nick Pisarro is a hobby maker out of California, and we sat down with him, go over a little bit more about why and how he got into the hobby. Hey, Nick, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
My name is Nick Pisarro, and I am working on a collaboration with City Circuits on a little kit. My goal for this was originally to come up with the simplest possible circuit that does something interesting, and hopefully, and a lot of people think a lot of people think that it looks kind of cool. So hopefully, people will enjoy that. And yeah, I'm happy to share that little design.
How did you come up with this design?
So the way I come up with this is, yeah, I was just for a while I was thinking to myself, what's the simplest possible thing you could make with the fewest possible components that does something interesting? And I eventually came up with this circuit, which was similar to this one, the final one that we're doing here, where it was just an LED and a capacitor and a switch. And then I saw an Adafruit has this spring switch thing, and that makes it reactive. So it's like a very simple, it's a primitive accelerometer. So that which reactive is a lot more interesting than just a switch that does something. And then, much later on, I use a transistor and a tiny capacitor because otherwise you need a large capacitor, and that makes it so you can also do it surface mount. But so the first thing I came up with was the circuit, and I eventually and then I came up with that long before I came up with like the sort of the heart design to go around it, right? And so then I was thinking of a lot of the things. What could you do that glows that's kind of interesting? And I eventually came up with a red LED, which actually works better because it's lower voltage drop. And then the heart sort of works with that design really nicely, actually, because it sort of glows, sort of in a way that sort of looks nice with that aesthetic. So I came up with that. I originally came up with like a way of doing it freehand with no circuit board, and then encasing that in acrylic. But it was just too finicky with like a paper clip to hold the battery. But that was a cool idea, but it's a bit too finicky to actually do that, at scale. And then I, learned how to make circuit boards, which is actually very easy once you get into it. It's about the simplest, most commodified product there is. So once you're comfortable with that, it's really easy to get that, really easy and cheap to get that manufactured. And so yeah, so I made kits, and then I sold some of them, gave some out at my hackerspace, which is a Noise Bridge in San Francisco. And well, we worked on that. I did classes on soldering for a while there. Can't do that too much these days, but yeah. So I haven't done much of that lately. So I'm glad that we're able to share that with a wider group of people.
How did you get started in the electronics hobby?
The way I did it was I just bought the standard Arduino starter kit, and just went through all the little projects in the book they give you, and I really enjoyed that. It was really the really simple pleasure of making something that does something physical. You press a button and the LED lights up. As simple as that is, it's just a really simple pleasure, and it's really not hard to just buy one of those, so those dumb little kits and go through it. So that's what really did it for me. I wod say I took an electronics class honestly in high school, but I didn't really remember much of it. Probably I remember a bit of the soldering helped me a bit on that. But for me, what really did it for me was the Arduino, is then I could use I don't have to learn the weirdness of analog electronics. I can use some of my skills to do something programmatic, and for me that's what really did it for me. So it's the type of programming I do for work is vastly different than Arduino programming, but there's at least some skill transfer there, and I can use that intelligence to do something interactive on that. But this kit does not involve Arduino, of course. It is just a simple analog kit.
I know you have a Tendy store. You're listed as Nerf Hammer on Tendy, and you have some pretty cool stuff on there. Could you tell me some more?
I have the backlit version of you can see too well, the backlit version of the heart badge, but I have that out of stock. Uh, my my big seller is I make these USB cable testers. I've sold hundreds of these, and the idea is So I don't know if this comes through on the video at all, but so the idea is that we have 4 LEDs that light up for the 4 pins inside USB 1.1 or whatever. So for this particular cable, you can see does not have the data pins lit, so you cannot use it for serial. And it also tells you if the cable is dead. I think this one, if you wiggle it, the ground pin will flicker, so you can tell it's like a completely dead cable. I think I have this for $11 or $12 or something like that. It's a low cost item, very simple theory of operation. It's just literally just passes through a watch battery through the cable. Very simple. Another idea, yeah. Also the design motivation there was come up with something really simple that's useful. So that way, I'm more likely to get it done. So yeah, a lot of people really like that. I got tons of really nice reviews on that. Another thing I have is this. I don't know if it'll come how well it comes through on this video. This bad boy. Yeah, so it is. It's a sort of it looks better in dim light in the evening or something like that. But the idea is it's sort of a reverse backlit flame effect, and it has an accelerometer in it, so the flames always originate at the bottom, no matter how it's oriented. And if you put it down, it'll slowly start to die out. And then if you pick it up again, it'll wake itself up again. It has a ultra low power sleep mode, so you could leave it like that for a year or something.
Looking back, do you wish you did anything a little different when it comes to the maker hobby?
Sure. I wish that I wish I knew about this earlier. This is a cool thing. You get to one thing that's nice about this hobby is you get to little gadgets you can show people, right? So what I do for work, it's too abstruse to share with anyone. No one has any idea what it is or how it works, and no one cares. It's too complicated. But this, you get cool little gadgets that you can make, and you can show people. You can share it with people. You can give it to people, and that's something that you can really, it's memorable. I give someone something like this, and they remember it. They don't throw it out. They keep it. I ran into someone like in a museum who said I gave them one of those like a year ago. I didn't remember who they were, but they remembered me because this is a really good calling card. So yeah, I wish I did know about it sooner. But 15 years ago, I don't know if it was as easy to get circuit boards made 15 years ago. It probably was relatively easy, but not as easy as now. Arduino probably was barely even a thing back then. I probably wouldn't have gotten into it without Arduino. But yeah, certainly I wish I had cool tricks like this a long time ago. Yeah. Another nice thing about it being so simple is it's very cheap and relatively easy to make. Is that so? It's not that painful to just give them away.
Do you have any advice for someone that is interested in learning more about this hobby?
So one piece of advice I give people is that, for example, I assume people on getting the kit are at least beginner level already, but soldering in particular, one piece of advice I give for that is it's really not that hard. You could learn it in half an hour quite easily. It's a mechanical skill. There's not that much that can go wrong with it. You don't have to be super smart to be able to figure out soldering. It's just a half an hour of practice, honestly. That's one piece of advice I would give.
What advice would you give somebody that wanted to get a little bit deeper in the hobby than just soldering and they want to learn more about Arduino and things like that?
My piece of advice is just buy one of those kits and just go through all the example projects, or at least the ones you find interesting, and it is pretty straightforward to do. And make things you can give away. It's cool to make some showpiece that you can have, which is cool. But it's definitely better to be able to make something you can just give away, because that has more of an impact on people. They can take it home with them.